Let's talk about Miss Divine.
Lizzie Divine.
Miss Divine was a wiry lady. She wore summer dresses. She had a bandana and a straw hat. And she was the only person I knew that had more power than my grandmother.
She wasn't a mean person. She was stern.
Stern, yes, very stern.
You know, when she said something, she meant exactly what she said.
Right.
In fact, she was our Sunday school teacher. The only thing that would keep you from going to Sunday school, you had to have one foot on a banana peel and the other in the grave.
Absolutely.
That's the only
There's
thing.
no excuse.
You had to go.
Had to go.
My father would be in his boxer shorts in front of the stereo with a baton. He loved classical music, and he would play it really loud, and he would conduct the orchestra. And he's a little fat, bald man, and he'd get behind the wheel of a car, and he'd become like a Napoleon. He became nuts. He gave everybody the finger. He never used the brakes. And I remember being so frightened, I'd sit in the back on the floor crying because I said, we're going to die. The problem growing up in my home was that I didn't know what was normal. We're yelling and we're pinching and we're hugging and we're cursing and we peed with the door open. I mean, I didn't know this was not normal behavior. I didn't know people had secrets. You didn't tell your mother everything.
When did you learn?
Well, it's still hard.
One of the things that you prayed for when you were in Miss Divine's class was, Lord, please let me get old enough to get out of this class.
This Miss Divine would come in on Sunday mornings to take us to Sunday school. And when I saw her come, Sherry, I thought the leaves would be blowing out the trees and the sky would go black and the clouds would come in. And she'd come in the house one morning and say, good morning, children. And everybody, my mother on down, said, good morning, Miss Divine. And she says, it's time to go to Sunday school this morning, children. I said, Miss Divine, I can't go to Sunday school today. She said, no. I said, no, ma'am. She says, why not? She said, because I said, my mother didn't bring enough clothes for me to go to Sunday school this morning. She said, oh, no. I said, no, ma'am. She said, well, what do you have? What kind of clothes do you have? I said, all I have, Miss Divine, are my pajamas and my tennis shoes. She said, well, that's okay, honey. Put your tennis shoes on. We go to Sunday school. I looked at my mother, and she looked away, Sherry. Miss Divine made me walk 2 blocks in my pajamas and my tennis shoes. I had to sit in church with my friends doing Sunday school with my pajamas and my tennis shoes. I would tell you, Sherry, I'll never lie again.
What has happened to the human voice? Vox humana. Hollering, shouting, quiet, talking, buzz. I was leaving the airport. This is in Atlanta. You know, you leave the gate, you take a train that took you to a concourse of your choice, and I get into this train, dead silence, few people seated, all standing. A voice that once was a human voice, but no longer. Now it talks like a machine. Concourse 1, Fort Worth, Dallas, Lubbock, that kind of voice.
The problem growing up in my home was that I didn't know what was normal. We're yelling and we're pinching and we're hugging and we're cursing and we peed with the door open. I mean, I didn't know this was not normal behavior. I didn't know people had secrets. You didn't tell your mother everything.
When did you learn?
Well, it's still hard.
Who were your old boyfriends? How many did you have?
I didn't have a lot of boyfriends. I had the neighbor boy. My mother loved him, but he wore his pants really high and he had an underbite. Oh, God. But nobody wanted to have sex with me, really, till I met your father. He was cute, but very, very quiet, and I scared the crap out of him. The first time he kissed me, he had a nosebleed all over his face. He was so nervous. It was terrible. It was, I don't know. Still married 35 years later. Unbelievable.
Just when the doors were about to close, pneumatic doors, when a young couple rush in and push open the doors and get in. Without missing a beat, that voice above says, because of late entry, we delayed 30 seconds. The people looked at that couple as that couple just committed mass murder, you know. And the couple is shrinking like this, you know. And I'm known for my talking. I'm Gabby. And so I say, George Orwell, your time has come and gone. I expect a laugh. Dead silence.
married a Jewish lawyer, and he makes no money. So I thought I'd found success. And, he's an indigent defense criminal lawyer, and he saves lives. But we made 2 great kids. And when I knew I was having a daughter, I called my mother, and she says every mother should have a daughter. And she died before you were born.
But I have her name.
You have her name. You were named after her.
In prison, I started painting and drawing, and I can remember walking the yards and telling my homies, man, I'm gonna be an artist, yeah, man. They said, yeah, D, sure, yeah, right, D. I said, no, man, I'm gonna be an artist, man. This is what I want to do. And from that point on, I painted every day. And one of the things I really remember was that when I was in prison, I read an article, and it says, you are measured by your time. That was very profound for me, because even if I put one line on a canvas, at the end of the day, I could say I did something. And when I was leaving, there's a white guard, never forget him. They had red hair and freckles. And he told me, he says, you'll be back. And I told him, I said, don't count on it. Because I knew that I was going to art school. It was no doubt in my mind. So when I got home, I got the applications. I had to go down for an interview. I took my paintings down so they could see them. And about 2-3 weeks later, I got the letter in the mail. It says, you've been accepted. You have a full scholarship. It was just, I can't even begin to describe how good a feeling it was to know that they saw a certain talent or certain worth in me. And I can remember walking into art school the first day, and it was students already there waiting for the teacher to come up, but they were all white. And when I walked in, all conversations among them stopped, and they turned and they looked at me, and the expressions on their face was like, what are you doing here? But I knew I wasn't going to stop. I just finished doing 66 months in the penitentiary, so there's no way in the world you was going to run me out of art school. I was here to learn. I would walk to the subway station, and I would have my drawing box, and the guys would be on the corner. The guys I grew up with, they'd be on the corner. Hey, D, what's up? What's up? Where you going? I'm going to subway. I'm going to school, man. Okay. And I remember passing these guys night after night, and they were still on that corner. And it was like they were standing still in time. January 27th, 1977, I left prison. Never been back. Never. And it is a blessing, you know. It is a blessing.
After 3 months, we finally see the land.
You knew that was America?
They told us this is the United States.
The freight ship that carried them ran aground off the coast of Rockaway Peninsula in Queens. Some people actually jumped from the ship to try to swim to shore.
The water was very cold.
How long did you swim? Do you remember?
You can't really swim. The waves move you back. And I passed out.
You passed out?
And a couple of my friends carried me out of water. When I woke up, I was in the hospital. I have my handcuffed on the back.
You were in the hospital bed handcuffed?
Yeah.
Then you were sent to a detention center.
I think the most difficult time is after 6 months, and you don't know where your future gonna be.
Your mother thought you were dead, and she set up a family shrine for you.
Yeah.
I have 20 letters that you wrote me while you were detained. The letters described all the, suicidal thoughts, attempts, people giving up. Remember we had the vigils outside the prison?
I remember. Every Sunday when you guys outside, we would watch it through the window. A lot of us was tear up because there's still good people in the world who have a kindness heart.
You have a real African name. I want to hear the real African name.
Adelabu, Laru, Yemenja, Jekong, Foix, Olmina, Alifumi, Rahman II. I've named after all of my grandfathers, and I'm the fourth child born under the Star Xavier in the past 400,000 years.
So what's about Hamza?
That's my Sufi Muslim name. I was given Hamza when I met Sheikh Noor. He looked up at me and said, Hamza, and then grabbed hold of me and gave me this tight hug and wouldn't let me go. He said, I've been looking for someone to put this name on, and you are it.
My name, when I started kindergarten, was Ramon. And by the time I was in the second grade, everybody was calling me Raymond. You know, out in the playground, in the classroom, Raymond, hey, Raymond, hey, Raymond. And trying to adjust to this, you know what I mean? And if there was a girl named Maria, her name became Mary. And Juanita became Jane. Till one day, we got a new student by the name of Facundo Gonzalez. Facundo Gonzalez, man. When he came to school, we noticed they called an emergency administrative meeting. You could kind of hear him talking through the door. You know, what are we going to do with this guy, man? You know what I mean? How are we going to change his name, you know? And one teacher goes, well, you know what? Why don't we try to shorten the name a little bit? And they go, yeah, well, but how do you spell it? Facundo. Well, why don't we just spell it F-A-C? And the other teachers looked at it, no, that sounds too much like a dirty word. You can't be saying, fuck, where's your homework, you know? Where's fuck at, you know what I mean? Well, that was a trip we always remembered going to elementary school, because Facundo was the only guy who never got his name changed.
And now they look at me, and I'm with the couple, the three of us, at the Hill of Calvary on Good Friday. And then I say, my God, where's the human voice? And just then there's a little baby, maybe the baby's about a year old or something. And I say, sir or madam, to the baby, what is your opinion of the human species? Well, what does a baby do? Baby starts giggling. I say, thank God, the sound of a human voice.